Hello everyone, welcome back to the Git and GitHub Masterclass. Today we are going to look at the Git basics commands and the intuition behind it. We are going to look at what is Git commit, what are the intuition behind it. We are going to look at branching, what is the intuition behind it. In previous lecture we have already set up Git onto your machine. Today we are going to look at how do you set up the Git on profile onto your machine. With this, we are also gonna look at the branching terminologies and how do you create branch. With this, let's get started. First, let's look out how do you properly set up Git profile onto your machine. In our previous lecture, we have learned how do you install Git and Git desktop. Now we will look at how do you properly set up Git profile. If you want to do this and you are too committed to GitHub, when you make an merge request or you make a commit, your commit message won't have your name and your email address. So to make your commit verified, it needs to be set up properly. So you shouldn't be too committed to GitHub instead and forget about to set up your profile onto your machine. These are very simple steps. You just need to follow 2 steps and your Git profile would be. Now let's open command prompt, that is CMD, and it would be different for different OS. So it would be bash for your Linux or Ubuntu. So we will type to set it up or profile. We will first type git config. I don't know what the next command is, or generally everyone does not know, and we don't need to remember it because we have help flag. So could type help flag, and here the docs are open, and we could see that what does git config does. So we could see that it is a get and set repository or global option. So we just need to set our global option, that is username to Abhijit and our email address to that. To do it, we just type git config, and we know global flag it needs to be passed global flag, and then we will set our user dot name what it is. Here we could also type git config global, then user dot email to your email address. And then you just need to enter it out. Once it's done, you could see your username and global username that would be used. You could type enter and you could see your username is Abhijit, and similar it could be done for email address. Now it's time to learn about Git initialization and Git clone. So what will you choose, Git init or Git clone? We will look both onto this, like what is Git init and what is Git clone. So suppose let me create a new file, new folder, make a directory like git course, and then we change our directory to git course. So what does git init do? Git init, what it does, it initialize the git repository. So here you could see currently the folder is empty, like, and now I've will initialize git repository here. So you could see that git have been initialized. So if I refresh this, the view show hidden items. In hidden items, you could see that git init have files. There is a head file which have the details that where the head of the commit is, main branches, then all the metadata regarding our repository. Cool. Now we understand how to make a git initialization. Now let's look at what is git clone. Now let's look how do you clone a repo. We already know that what does repository means. Repository is a working directory where all files changes are pushed. So here is a Mapbox repository. we just need to clone it. So how do you clone it? One way is to clone using this web URL. So we just copy those. Here we have our command prompt, and here we could basically git clone, and it will go to this website and copy all the code. As we know, Git is a distributed system, so every dev have their own copy. Like SVN, they only have one copy, so if one changes was mistake, whole system would crash. So here we have distributed copy. Every dev have their own copy, so it is a big file of code, so it's taking some time. So once it's done, the whole code repository will be onto your directory. There's another way we could code onto this is using code spaces. This is online directory. You just need to create a code space or main, and here you will be redirected to code space, and it will create all the virtual environment for your code. So here I've got code space running, so it's running on the cloud in the GitHub. GitHub provides some resources to run this. So currently it's initializing, and here you could also code out whatever you need, and then you could directly from here you could create a pull request for the changes that you need to be merged. So we have learned what is git init. We got the idea what is git init. We looked at git UR command. We also looked at how you could make changes directly onto the web editor using code spaces. Now let's look at how do you stage your commit and how do you make snapshot. So basically we already know snapshot is just basically a copy paste, but if you make whole copy of the project, it's not a memory efficient way. We just copy the changes that have been done. So first we need to look at git status. So let's open our console. We look at git log. The current branch master does not have any commits PS because we didn't make any code push yet. So we will now, let's create a new file. Let's call it readme.md, and let's create a message that is a heading that we will call this is get tutorial, and we will press enter. Now in VS Code there's already Git integrated, and you could see there's any incoming changes that needs to be staged and commit. But first we will look through how does this looks from the console. So we will type git status. We could see no commits yet, and there is untracked file that is get readme.md that needs to be included. So we have made changes in readme file. Now we need to add this onto our local repository. So to add this into our git, we call git add command. There are a lot of ways to call it. If we use dot, this will include a lot of files. So currently it will include whole files, that is whole files in your directory. Then we could add particular file, that is readme.md, and similarly multiple files. A good method is to add manually the file that needs to be added. If you add directly whole files, and it will include whole changes that needs not to be there onto the pull request. So a good thumb rule is you just add manually instead of pushing whole thing. If you are creating a new repository, you could directly add whole file into it. But if you are creating a pull request to other code sources, you just add those file manually. This is a good thumb rule. So you could look onto the changes, like what changes have been done, and only that changes would be pushed out. So we'll add this file readme.md. We could also add like using dot, which will include all other files. Suppose we create two more files, name test.md, and we create test 2.md. Basically, now instead of adding one file, we could all directly add two files together. If we look get status, we could see that we have added two files, but there are two untracked files. If we need to add directly to it, we could just add git add. Those two files would directly push onto the local repository. So here, if we look at git status, we could see there is a typo that all two files have been added together. Now we have got an idea how do status work, how does git add works. Now let's look what does git difference is. So suppose this is our pushed changes that have been added to our staging area. We add one more line. So suppose this is new line. Now we haven't added this changes to our file. So if I add git diff, we could get the difference that what file changes have not been pushed. So here we could see that this new line have been added, which is not have been staged yet. So if I stage this commit from here, like vs console, you could stage this commit, and here the changes have been added to the readme file. Now if I add git def, there is no difference because all the changes have been pushed. Now this is the one of the most important thing that we need to look at is git commit. Git commit is like a pointer to your code snapshot that what changes you have implemented. It has a flag that is known as message flag, and it generally descriptive message that what changes you have done. So whenever you make any changes, this changes needs to be descriptive. Else, if some other code is coding out, we won't know that what changes have been implemented. So there are generally 2 to 3 good naming methods, that is core changes that have been added. So git core changes, that changes have been implemented. This type of template are used. And if like a single line, it should be a single line. Let's write it down. So you could have a template like core message, that what changes have been included. It should be short and descriptive. And instead, if there are a lot of changes that you are doing, a general thumb rule is to divide those changes into small commits and then push it out together. So if some dev is working out onto your code, he might have some idea, okay, there is some small commits, and he know what particular commits are doing. Instead of committing whole changes together, the dev will have a really painful time to understand what the changes have been implemented. We got an idea how does git commit message look like. Here's a meme. So here's a Simpson. He's taking too much time to think what should be the git commit message. So it shouldn't be that case. It should be small and short, and it shouldn't take you too much time. Just add that what changes that you have been done. So it shouldn't take too much time of yours just for git commit message. Now we got idea how does git commit message look like. Let's implement as the git commit message. So for this, let's use console to pull this off. So git commit is our command.m is the message flag, and here whatever you type, it's the changes that have been implemented. So core added readme.md test.md test1. So it's short, sweet, and descriptive. So here you could see 3 changes file have been implemented, 2 insertion have been done, that is git this one line and another line have been inserted out. Now here you could see all the git commit message have been done. Now one more thing is, here is the meme. You directly make commit and you get directly pushed it to the remote repository or local repository. and then you forgot to add the files. So it should be always git add and then git commit and then git push. So hope you got an idea what should be the flow like in the staging and committing message. Now let's look at what does branch and merge mean. Branching. So we know that what is branching mean. Branching is simply pointer to a specific commits. Pointer to a specific commit. So generally in Git they have changed master branch to the origin branch. So initially your main line of code was known as master branch and it was changed in like a decade ago to the main branch because of naming conventions. It's odd. So basically here is your line of code. Let me draw a straight line. So suppose here is your line of code and here is your branch. Here you have several commit and here is your basically head, that is your main commit and your main branch is. So if you are working on your code, basically you don't want to mess this main branch of code because all the other main pipeline is connected to it. Suppose you are hosting your code, it would be connected to your main branch, and if you messed it, all the wrong changes will be reflected. So what we do is we branch early, branch often. There is always term branch early, branch often. Why? Because it doesn't take any space and it modularizes your code, easy to maintain. Branch early, branch often. So what we do is we just create a branch and here we do our changes in this branch. Suppose it is feature 1 or you are fixing bugs. So here you could have issue fix 1, or if it's a patch, the name could be anything. It's a patch branch. So here you do your changes in this code line of commit and now the code is working. Now you need to just merge it. So here you could create a pull request, someone would review it and then initially it would be merged. So we have got the idea how does what is git branch is. Branch early, branch often. You always remember that git branch doesn't take any space, it's just a pointer to a specific commit. And here's the meme that I want to show you. So when your coworker asks on you which branch you are, and suppose you are on main branch and you messed it up, this shouldn't be your face, because always you remember that you create a separate branch and work on that branch instead of messing up the main branch. Cool. Now we have got the idea what is main branch is. Now let's look at how we could do this in console. So let's look at which branch we are. So to do this we need to call git branch command. We will get that we are on master branch. Now we call a create a branch, suppose feature branch, and then it will create branches. We could check which branches are there. Okay, currently there is master branch and here is a star, and we could see that we are on master branch. Now we need to change to the feature branch. How we could do this? How we could change the branch? So if we are on this branch, how do we could come to this branch? So for this we have a command that is known as git checkout, which changes the branch, and then you just need to call the which branch you need to be checkout to. So git checkout feature branch, and here if you check now, you could know that you are now on feature branch. If we look on this onto our coding console, that is here, you could see that we are on feature branch. Let's add another line. This is second line, then we commit this code, shortens sweet message, added second line and readme, commit, it will always stage those changes. Now we need to merge the changes. Now we have implemented some changes that we have added. So here was our main branch. So we look onto this. So here was main branch. We created our new branch that was feature, and we have implemented some commits. Commit 1, and here is our head. And now we just need to merge those changes. So all the changes would be reflected here. Now we have added our branch. Now it's time to merge our branch. To merge our branch, we just need to check out to the main branch that we are on, that is master, switch to master branch, and then we merge with feature branch. So here you could see 3 lines have been added, that was committed. Now we have added those merge branch. That is basically we have pushed all the changes to the merge branch. Now if we need to look at the history, that what have changes have been done, we could just type git log, and here you could have the history that currently our head, that is master branch, have been on to this commit, which was done by Abhijit. And here you could see that I have added second line in those, and previous commit was git code add. We have added those 5. We have learned all this command, that is git merge, git branch, git commit in the console and in Visual Studio. Now it's time to learn on how do we do it on GitHub Desktop. So first we need to open GitHub Desktop, create a new folder, and then we just need to create a Visual Studio file with new file. It's called it readme.md, and then we add some lines. This is okay. So there's some issue with you want to cancel it. So there was update message. Now we add those files that we need to add. So here we add a random sentence that we need to add. So this is GitHub tutorial we want to add. Here we could see that in the staging area that what changes have been added. So now we just need to push it, and then the code is pushed. Now let's look how do we create a new branch. So I have to create a new branch named as fetch. So the naming convention is always smaller case. Always remember that. So we create a branch fetch. Now we could see that we are on fetch branch, and we add a new line. Suppose this is second line, that we are on line 2. Once we have added those, we could see that we have added some changes. Now let's look how do we could merge this. So to merge this, we just need to go to the main branch, and then we have to look out where we could merge this. So in the bottom we could see that merge branch. We could click on it, and then boom, merged. So all our code are merged now. Now how do we look onto the git log history? So here we have a visualization of our code commit history that we could look on. With this, I will see you on to the next lecture. Thank you everyone.